Hi guys, Yusef here, and welcome to Movie Thoughts, the show where we talk about movies. Today we're going to be talking about Hellfest, released in 2018 and starring really a bunch of unknown actors. The story follows 6 teenagers as they attend Hellfest, a traveling haunt attraction similar to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. But there is a killer inside the park who's actually killing people in the haunted houses. So let's talk about Hellfest. This movie was garbage. Straight up, this movie was garbage. It was awful. And the problem for me with this movie is it had such an interesting concept because, it's based around like these haunts, these people go into these haunted houses, and it would be a fun idea to have somebody that's like a serial killer going in there and killing people and using them as props in the houses. But the execution is so bad. It just doesn't make any sense in this film at all. And it was just so frustrating because you're like expecting something good to happen and you just keep getting disappointed over and over again. This movie was just kind of a typical slasher movie. Like, it was predictable. It was not scary at all. The acting was ridiculously bad. Like, even by horror movie standards, this acting was horrendous. And these characters were super unlikable. There was nothing about them that was interesting. Like, your protagonist, kind of your final girl, the entire film, she spends apologizing to her friends for not hanging out with them because she's been busy with school and life, and there's no explanation for it. She just keeps apologizing for it, and you don't get any backstory on your characters, so you don't care about them. And they were just very one-dimensional, very shallow characters, so they were just really there to be killed, honestly. Something about this movie that I thought was interesting is that this is a funny movie for all the wrong reasons. I laughed at this movie because it was just so bad. You have a couple of scenes that were attempting to be scary or suspenseful, and they didn't work at all. They were just hilarious. Like, you have this scene where our protagonist is like drying her hair. First of all, those little, those hand dryers that they have at bathrooms. How the hell would you put one on the ceiling so people can dry their hair? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I've never seen that before. And it was ridiculous, and it was so stupid. And then, so you have this character drying her hair or whatever, and the killer, he's just in front of her, reaching out to like touch her hair, and you're like, okay, first of all, it doesn't take that long to dry your hair. Second of all, how do you not notice that somebody's that close to you? Like, you would notice if something like that was happening to you. And then you also have the scene with the protagonist as well, when she's like in this little ride or whatever. She's in this little cart, and the killer starts walking towards her, and they cut to the ride, the cart moving out of the little tunnel that it was in, and you literally have the protagonist just sitting in the cart, and then you have the killer just doing like a Spider-Man pose, just sitting in front of her like this. And then they just the cart stops, their friends are right there, and they just turn and look. And I'm just like, I just busted out laughing because it was just like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a horror movie. Because it was just so goddamn stupid. It was just so stupid. It didn't make any friggin' sense. And that's pretty much what encompasses this entire movie. Like, these characters, they're your typical slasher characters. They make stupid decisions. You also have this one scene where like this one character is about to get attacked by the killer, and he gets like hit with a hammer, and he like crawls, and he goes up towards, and he crawls. He puts his head on this one of those like carnival machines where you like smack the you smack the thing with the hammer, and it goes up, and you have to ring the bell. So he conveniently places his head on the thing, so the guy just goes up with the hammer and slams it down. And it was just so funny because it was just there for the sake of trying to introduce a creative kill, and it was like the stupidest thing ever. And going back to some of those stupid plot holes, like, this movie has one of the stupidest endings to a horror movie I've ever seen. And I'm gonna spoil it for you because I really would not recommend going to see this movie ever. That's how bad it was. I wouldn't recommend going to see this at all. So, the ending is You have the final girl and her friend. They stab the killer. You know, he's bleeding everywhere. And he disappears. You know, the cops get there. They go through the haunted house. They're like, oh, we couldn't find him. And then they cut to a car just driving up to a driveway. And it's actually the killer's house. And he's just there. Hangs up the mask he was using. And goes to see his daughter. And that's literally how the movie ends. And you're like, wait, didn't he just get stabbed? Wouldn't he be bleeding? Wouldn't he be like in a hospital or something? But no. He apparently is fine. It was just a flesh wound, even though he was bleeding all over the place. It was a flesh wound, and he's fine. He goes to see his daughter, hugs her, and the movie ends. Oh boy, what a film! Hellfest. Ah boy, Hellfest. Ridiculous acting, interesting concept, but horrendous execution. Stupid plot holes, ridiculously stupid ending. This is one of those movies that I would not recommend at all. Like, just don't waste your money, don't waste your time watching this movie. I give Hellfest a D. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this episode of Movie Thoughts. Please like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You know, remember to hit the bell for the notifications and become a part of the Cyborg Army today.